Better, smarter communication with your ex-co-parent and why you need to do it. I generally don't recommend books on divorce or particular strategies articulated in these books because while the advice is often, though not always, good, it gets lost in the excessive number of pages it takes to stretch the advice to book length when it can and should be reduced to a pamphlet or even single page in length. But that doesn't sell books. One book I've heard rave reviews about is a book entitled BIFF, or B-I-F-F, Your Guide to Difficult Co-Parent Texts, Emails, and Social Media Posts. I provided a link to it if you'd like to buy it. I have no affiliate arrangement with Amazon. I'm just doing that for your convenience. BIFF explains how to communicate effectively with the especially rude and otherwise difficult ex-spouse or co-parent. If you can check the book out of the library and read it as quickly and as closely as you wish, that's not a bad idea. But you can get the gist of it in 2 pages, and I've reduced it in this script to 2 pages, and so here's my effort. BIFF is an acronym for keeping communications with difficult people brief, informative, friendly, and final. Brief. No more than a paragraph, 2 to 5 brief sentences if possible, and it's almost always possible, even if the communication from your ex-co-parent to which you are responding droned on for pages. Make every word count. Informative. Focus on discussing and providing facts that are relevant to the dispute. Expressing feelings usually does not help communicate briefly or clearly and risks having your ex-co-parent respond in a rambling, emotional way as well. Friendly. This just means being civil and polite, and not overly so. Common courtesy, 1, reduces the risk of escalating hostilities, and 2, improves the odds of effective communication. Finally, 3, it depicts you as a reasonable, mature person, and thus a credible person. Firm. Close your message in a way that conveys that the conversation is respectfully concluded, that you have addressed everything as necessary and fully, and will not engage in further disputation. Further discussion, sure, just not fighting. If you must include a question or request in your response, and you should try to avoid that, make sure you phrase your question or request for a yes or no response. If you need a response by a specific time, state that clearly and concisely as well. To make the most of the BIFF method, BIFF-style communication should also avoid the 3 A's, because they don't help and are thus not needed. A number 1, admonishments. Criticizing and reprimanding tends to take your ex-co-parent's focus off the substance of the problem. Admonishments tend to elicit defensive and recrimination-style responses, no matter how innocently and sincerely you may believe you have expressed yourself. Next A, advice. Offering advice tends to make you look self-righteous and judgmental. Like admonishments, giving advice tends to trigger not just a response, which you are trying to avoid from your ex, but a defensive and combative response at that. Third A, apologies. Even a sincere apology is usually not accepted by a high-conflict ex or co-parent with grace and class, but gets treated and cited as an admission of fault that your ex-co-parent will belabor and remind you of for months and years to come. Being courteous does not require you to be obsequious or apologetic. Also incorporate ear in your BIFF communication. That's short for empathy, attention, and respect. Empathy, not sympathy. I've been where you are myself, and I understand how it feels. Not, I don't know how you feel, but I can imagine it. Empathy indicates that you take your ex-co-parent sincerely and seriously, and respect him or her even when you disagree. Attention. Stating or showing you are paying attention helps to diffuse the tension and to calm your ex or co-parent by showing your ex-co-parent doesn't have to fight for your attention and can devote that energy toward more productive ends. Respect. Expressing respect shows your ex-co-parent that both, 1, he or she matters, and 2, so does the dispute and getting it dealt with. BIFF communications are good evidence for court, as you might imagine. Adhere to BIFF in all communications to help ensure you don't communicate in a manner that would upset a judge, if a judge were to read your communications. When you employ BIFF and your hostile ex-co-parent does not, you benefit twice. 1, you help resolve the problem that much sooner, and 2, you show yourself to be a mature, responsible peacemaker. The bonus of learning BIFF? Its essential principles apply to communicating with difficult people generally, whether they be your ex, or your boss, or your neighbor, and whether in writing or otherwise.